All right, joining me now is Annie Cyrus. Annie, welcome back to the broadcast. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me on. And since we're at it, my pillow throw blankets are the best. I have them. After a long day when I want to chill and watch TV, the best throw blanket I ever owned is my pillow blanket.
And I
Get
agree
those.
with you. Delta also likes them. If I am working too much in a given day, like she did tonight, she will take her own toy. She will pull the blanket, that my pillow blanket, off the couch, much to the chagrin of my wife, who usually sees it and Delta gets in trouble. But she'll pull it off the couch, take that my pillow blanket, wrap her toy in it, and then play hide and seek with herself to find the toy in the blanket. So even Delta loves those blankets as well. She gets the use out of them as well, the whole family. But yeah, I agree, they're great blankets. Annie's website is standuptofreedom.com, stand up to freedom.
Live
Live
up
up to
to
freedom.
freedom.
Thank you. I'm getting corrected by you and Logan both. Liveuptofreedom.com. Liveuptofreedom.com. Now, we've got a lot to cover. We're talking about all these refugees that are coming into America. Thousands upon thousands, 15,000 Haitians or more over the southern border, not to mention all the Afghanis. This has got to be mounting up to be billions of dollars, isn't it, Annie?
Yes. Actually, I'm glad you put it that way because I was doing a quick calculation based on the number that Biden administration told us of the Afghan refugees they're bringing in versus the budget that they just signed off on. This was yesterday. So United States of America's government yesterday signed off on a $6,300,000,000 budget to for the Afghan refugees housing, just the housing, nothing else. You put that 6 billion and some compared to the number of only 7,000 Afghan refugees, it makes no sense, does it?
No. But you're saying 6 billion is just going to be for housing.
Only housing. This was signed for housing the Afghan refugees that were brought in after US withdrawal from Afghanistan. That's it.
Gee, willikers. Okay, tell me what else you've had. I'm just going to kind of let you go. I know you've got a lot of material to go through for us. Just start giving us the report.
Yes, but before I move on from this, I just want to say this. I just got back from being on the road, a few speaking engagements, and this time around I made sure to repeatedly repeat that I want everybody to know and understand we are under attack, many fronts, but absolutely one thing you need to keep in mind is the Islamic supremacy in our country and the highest possible level of anti-Semitism, which is related. That Islam is at war with humanity, but the number one target of Islam is Israel and Jews. So on that note, I want to also add the same day that the $6,300,000,000 was signed off to be housing Afghan refugees. At the same time, a $1 billion fund for missile defense program of Israel was cut off from Israel by America.
Oh, wow. So,
Yes,
okay, so we're going to defund Israel's defense while we weaken ours by funding the Islamic invasion from Afghanistan.
bingo.
Wow.
That's exactly what we're doing. And if you remember, it was 2 weeks ago when on your program I said I hear from people or some churches who are raising money for the Afghan refugees. Don't worry about them. They will be taken care of.
Yeah.
There you go. $6 billion. And here's my question. The Afghan refugees, and I get tired of doing this. So whenever I say Afghan refugee, I'm doing this. The Afghan refugees are getting
No, why do you do that? Explain to the audience why you call them refugees. Are they not refugees?
no, I can almost guarantee that 50% of these people who were flown from Afghanistan to here are not here to build a better life. They are not seeking asylum. They are here to make sure to not assimilate and infiltrate, such as Ilhan Omar and Linda Sarsour's.
what is her name? Rashida
Rashida
Tlaib.
Tlaib.
Rashida Tlaib out of
Well, here's the thing.
Michigan.
I cannot really use Rashida Tlaib as an example considering she was born here.
Oh,
Unless I
that's
say
right.
Rashida Tlaib's parents.
Yeah, but
You know.
she did dance around in the Palestinian flag when she won, right?
Of course, she also used a sticky note to write Palestine and put it on Israel on her map on her wall. And people apparently that's okay nowadays. Like imagine if somebody would write, I don't know, Israel or America and pin it over Iran or Iraq or Syria or Kuwait. Woo, we would never hear the end of it.
Right.
But she literally wiped Israel off her map in her office and it was okay. But yeah, the reason I do this is when you look at the pictures of these planes, these are adult, healthy, capable men running away without their mothers or sisters or wives or daughters or families. No, they're not coming. Here's my point. If they're not standing to defend their own motherland, what makes you think one day they're going to defend America?
They're not. They're not gonna assimilate. And as Michael Lindell said earlier tonight, all you got to do is go to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and look at the lack of assimilation by the Somalis. I mean, they're not assimilating at all. I mean, when you go, the last time I was there, I didn't recognize the area. I really didn't, and I felt very uncomfortable and very unwelcome, and I didn't recognize it. Minneapolis, St. Paul used to be an extremely beautiful town. Very clean, very neat, very hospitable, and now there are areas of town that just really are not safe anymore. And the Islamic gangs, the Somali gangs, even going in there a few years ago, they were recruiting some of these Somali boys to take them off to the field to fight. So, and then they got the interviews of them being interviewed right there on the street in Minneapolis, St. Paul, asking, do they want to live under the Constitutional Republic or Sharia? And they say Sharia.
Yeah, the last time I was there, I ended up giving a speech to a room with about 4 people because in the morning they received a bomb threat at the church that was hosting me.
Wow.
That was my last experience of that area.
So,
and who represents them? Ilhan Omar.
Mm-hmm. So,
but else? Yeah, I just wanted everybody to be aware that Afghan refugees are getting. I guess they're all getting mansions. That's why we need $6 billion, $6,300,000,000 for them. But not a single family of the 13 Marine who didn't make it back home got an extra penny or a gift or flowers or the mom, the wife of one of the soldiers who's due this week to give birth to their first child that will never see their father, had to do a GoFundMe to get the money to put the nursery together for her child.
Wow, that's heartbreaking, Annie. What else you got for us in your research since you last been on?
Oh, the next part is also United Nations has signed off on the next $45 million to be sent to Taliban for exchange of safety of Afghan citizens. Now, let me break that down. First of all, for our lovely audience who are very well educated, I want you to know every time UN is giving money to anyone, we are also giving money because we are giving money to UN, and then UN decides what to do with it.
That's right.
So whenever UN's doing it, we can't say, oh, UN is a joke. No, it's our tax money going to UN, now going to Taliban. And the agreement is here's $45 million for safety of Afghan citizens. This is directly what we call jizya under Islam. You pay the Islamic leaders and buy safety. That's where we're at. Where UN is going to give $45 million to Taliban to keep the safety and security of the Afghan citizens in place. Now, this is after already 12 Afghan citizens have been killed in last 8 days. And the people I'm talking about.
Taliban's killing them?
Yes, in 3 different towns. They are releasing the videos. as we talked about. The videos are going to start coming out. And they are all either former military members of Afghanistan or translators who worked with our military. 12 of them confirmed on video, at least 12 dead in last 8 days. And now we're going to give them $45 million to stop killing the rest of them.
And we pay jizya, as I say it in my ignorance of how to pronounce the words as beautifully as you can. But we give jizya as a nation to Islamic nations, but we don't call it that, do we? We call it foreign aid, right?
Exactly. We call it foreign aid or humanitarian aid.
Humanitarian aid or foreign aid, but what we're really doing is paying jizya to Islamic nations, saying, here, we're going to pay you to not attack us.
Exactly. Then again, I take this back to Islamic supremacy. Be aware of Islamic supremacy. Stand up to Islamic supremacy. We need to start creating a defense mechanism. We cannot just sit back and let Islamic supremacy take over our nation or our country. Coming from Islamic Republic of Iran, I promise you, taking our country back is a lot harder than fighting right now and not letting them take over.
Do you have anything else for me before I ask you a couple questions?
Yes, I also want you to know that United Nations is also in negotiation with Taliban to accept their representative for the upcoming conference at UN to replace the existing Afghan government representative.
So the UN is going to accept. The UN is likely going to accept an ambassador for the Talibanian government and nation.
Yes, and interesting enough, the suggested person or picked person by Taliban is Sohail Shaheen. I talked about him. He's the spokesperson who types all the English tweets for them. He will be the person to ambassador to UN.
He's the one that did all the English tweets for them?
Yes.
Wow.
We put his screenshots on the screen. So yes, that's the person who's, because he's fluent in English and has a degree from Cabal, Afghanistan University, then they want him to be the ambassador. I don't know how to wrap my head around this, but we went from Taliban bad terrorists, Taliban might be a legitimized government, to Taliban has an ambassador to United Nations now.
Gee.
Very quickly.
Anything else?
No. Oh, yes. The new president of Islamic Republic of Iran, Ebrahim Raisi, the person who's under sanction in America, thanks to President Trump, has put out the first ever comment about the Afghanistan situation. He defended Taliban and their request to have ambassador to the United Nations. He also mentioned on that release, Biden administration fleeing from Afghanistan shows that America has no government, no leadership.
Wow. All right, so let me ask you a couple questions for our next guest. You spoke recently somewhere, right?
Yes.
And are any of these folks watching you on Frank Speech?
Absolutely. I had a very big number of audience who came into venues to spend the evening listening to my speech, mentioned that they came to know me through this program when I started coming on and giving updates on Afghanistan.
Excellent, excellent. And so a lot of them are watching you. They're turning out to hear you speak. So in other words, good exposure.
Absolutely. Not only that, I had many of them showing gratitude for your program, that even though they were aware it's a lot of work, but they were very glad that there is finally a program where they get to hear the truth from other truth tellers who are being censored. Now they go to Frank Speech, Lindell TV, some call it Lindell TV, some call it Frank Speech, and they get to actually hear the truth about everything. A lot of them were very excited. You are giving them updates and information on COVID, hoax and situation and vaccination and dangers, and some who were there to be more educated on dangers of Islam. We're very grateful that you are actually allowing me uncensored on your program. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, Logan, she just found the link for our next guest. She just found the link, by the way. So we're going to have another guest here coming up in just 1 second. Be our first time to be with us. She's going to talk to us about vaccines, vaccine injured children? And would you think that SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, do you think SIDS went down during the lockdown where kids weren't going to the doctor and getting their shots? You think, just a question, do you think maybe sudden infant death syndrome dropped when kids weren't going to the doctor to get their shots during the lockdown? That's a question. We'll have that along with other things answered by our next guest. Now, Annie, before I let you go, your website is liveuptofreedom.com, liveuptofreedom.com, right?
Yes, it is liveuptofreedom.com. And if you don't mind, I know you have your next guest coming up, but I just want to mention this about the vaccination. I'm no expert about the vaccine. I follow other experts and get information from them, but I do want to say this. On last Friday's Friday prayer in morning prayer in Islamic Republic of Iran, the supreme leader answered a question of why Iran is rejecting the Pfizer. Is that how you say Pfizer vaccine?
Pfizer, you got it. Yeah, you got it.
His answer was, we will not poison our citizens the way Biden administration is poisoning their citizens. That was the supreme leader of Islamic Republic of Iran's answer to why he's rejecting the aid from America with Pfizer vaccination.
Well, and you know what? You know what's coming is that the only people rejecting the vaccine are the extremist, the Islamic extremist, if the press would ever say that, the Islamic extremist and the conservative Republican or constitutionalist Christian extremists. What do these guys all have in common? They're all science deniers, right?
Oh, they will definitely say that. But me and you, we both know, Brannon, that people like me and you, we believe in a higher power. We're not human beings, lab rats. Our body is our temple.
Yep.
They don't get to order us to poison our temple.
Absolutely.
Because they feel like that's the right thing to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As always, Annie, thank you for the service, the public service you bring by researching what's going on in the Middle East, Afghanistan, the Islamic invasion of our country. Thank you so much. As always, we look forward to having you back on as the reports come your way. You just call me, text me. We'll get you right back on to keep us all updated.
Absolutely, my pleasure, and I will stay in touch with you.
liveuptofreedom.com, liveuptofreedom.com. Anni Cyrus checking in tonight. I hope you'll check out her website and also the great resources she has available.